in thousands of trials and hearings and drafted thousands of written decisions. I have also served as a small claims arbitrator in the civil court, making decisions in cases that would later be ratified by a judge. Through this experience, I've become well-versed in the law of the cases and issues most commonly seen in the courts of Queens. I've also had the opportunity to observe and learn about proper judicial temperament from the many judges I've observed, both when I was in private practice and during my time working in the courts. This has given me a true understanding of the importance of treating every lawyer and every litigant with respect and dignity. I believe that a judge's decisions are bound by the law, but there are also times when the law allows the judge to use their discretion. And those are the times when it's most important for a judge to be humane and mindful of the fact that the litigants standing in front of them are not just index numbers. They're human beings with real concerns and real problems. I look forward to continuing my lifetime of service to the people of Queens as a civil court judge. And I thank you all for having me here tonight. I wasn't on mute, was I?
Thank you so much, Judge. Is there any questions for the judge? Any questions at all? And I think I may be out of order, but is Weapon on or Donovan on at this time? If not, we'll move to the next judge, Cassandra Johnson.
Good evening, Guy Brewer, and to your executive leader, Leslie Spigner, and your president, Renee Bluford, and your entire executive board. Thank you for welcoming me home to speak. I appreciate it. And especially in this time when we're semi-isolated, it is so good to be with community, in community. As many of you know me, I'm Cassandra Johnson. I'm running to be your next civil court judge in the 4th Municipal District. And the difference between the municipal court seat and the countywide seat is that it is the 4th Municipal District covers areas such as St. Albans, Queens Village, all of Southeast Queens, even down into the Rockaways. So it's important that we get to elect someone who is your neighbor. I live here in Queens Village. My parents initially raised us in Far Rockaway before settling into Queens Village, where I still live today. I'm the daughter of a Vietnam veteran and a Haitian immigrant mother who taught me the value of hard work, respect for others, and public service. And these important lessons shape the type of lawyer that I've become today. I see my job as an attorney and an attorney in the court system as one of service. I've helped elderly Queens residents with deed theft, predatory lending, contractor fraud, and debt collection. These experiences allowed me to see firsthand that attorneys can advocate for and protect the most vulnerable, and the roles of our courts in supporting justice. For over a decade, I've worked in the Queens County Supreme Court right here on Sutphin Boulevard. I've worked as a law clerk to judges, and most recently, the past few years, I've been a court attorney referee. My job as a court attorney referee primarily is to help people resolve their disputes. And what that requires is for me to sit down with the litigants and their attorneys, if they have attorneys, meet them where they are, and help them come to a resolution. If they're not able to come to a resolution, I also conduct trials. I preside over them just like a judge would, and I write a decision after the trial just like a judge would. And in over the past 10 years working in the court system, I have written over 6,000 judicial decisions that have been signed by the judge. or have been signed by myself as a court attorney referee. The role of a judge also is to ensure access to justice in addition to making sure that justice is served. And it's important to note that most people that come to court, they don't want to be there. They are coming to resolve conflicts that they cannot resolve on their own. And so it's crucial that when a judge is presiding over cases, that they're impartial, that they're fair, compassionate, patient, and committed to the ideal of equal justice under the law. These things I learned while working under judges and as a court attorney referee. My service to the public does not stop when I'm in court. Outside of court, you could find me participating in cleanup initiatives in Southeast Queens, the food pantry at Mount Olivet Baptist Church, where you'll see me tomorrow. I participate in street work at Safe Horizon, where I teach yoga and meditation to young individuals and young mothers, and especially during the pandemic, that's been so important for our mental well-being. In the legal community, I serve as a board member of associations and officer of the Macon B. Allen Black Bar Association. And I also am panelist for educational programs for attorneys throughout the state. And most recently, last night, I was on a panel with judges who are located throughout the state on how to do a virtual trial. And as you know, the future is here. We are participating and serving justice virtually and hopefully soon in person, but it's important that as someone in the court system who has been doing this, I'm educating the attorneys and litigants on how to appear there and offering evidence and conduct the trial. It's important to note that after an extensive application and interview process, I was rated by the Independent Judicial Qualification Commission as highly qualified for the position of judge of the civil court. I'm running for this position because I believe firmly in the tenet of public service, and I have a deep faith that we can advance the law in the service of society. For me, it's important that we have representation on the bench that is as diverse and reflects the people of this amazing borough. I'm running because we need folks on the bench that can connect the real life experiences of our community members to the legal actions taken by the courts. I'm a child of Queens, as many of you know me. I went to St. John's for undergrad and law school. I'm a product of our public schools, and I best believe that I could serve the public as a judge of the civil court. So I humbly ask all of you for your support and your vote on June 22nd as your next civil court judge in the 4th Municipal District. And as our district leader mentioned, the ballot is going to be longer. It's going to be 2 sheets with 2 sides. So you will have to be patient and look for my name, Cassandra Johnson, for judge. Thank you so much for all of your time. And I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
I see Rabbi has a question. Rabbi, can you hear? Rabbi, you have a question?
I don't think his mic is on. It's connected.
Okay. I just want to, it's connected now to audio. Rabbi, you have a question? It's good to know also, and I wanted to just mention, could you please, Goldman and Cassandra, could you please tell us who is running against you so that we know not to pull those levers for those folks that are running against you, and we have only your name out there?
My opponent is named Soma Syed.
Okay. Cassandra?
I will say first, remember Cassandra Johnson. Before I say that, and I'm going to say it,
Goldman.
yeah, and I'm going to say it again. after I say her name, because really I want to focus on my name. Okay.
Yes.
Her last name's Daniels. And again, I want to focus everyone, Cassandra Johnson.
Yes.
You can't mistake the two names. However, the ballot's going to be so long that, you know, I haven't voted in ranked choice voting yet, so I don't know what to expect, but I know it will be long, and definitely we all have to be patient, and I appreciate everyone's patience. Hi, Preston.
Hey.
Leslie,
We
can you
also
say
have,
one more thing?
I think we
Yes, sir.
also have, Cassandra has a website, and I think the judges have websites.
Mhm.
Cassandra, if you can put in the chat room your website. They're also looking for donations to help with the campaign. It costs money to run these campaigns and get the literature out there. So if they can put their websites in the chat room and make a donation, that would greatly be appreciated. Any questions for Cassandra Johnson?
I believe Andrea Ogle is also here as well.
Okay. Leslie, can I just say one thing real quick?
Yes.
There will be two separate judicial races on your ballot. Cassandra and I are not running against each other. You can vote for both of us.
Yes,
Each have a separate opponent.
that's important.
Yeah, Rodney.
You could vote for both of them.
Yeah.
Any questions? Rabbi, your mute is not on, so we can't hear you. The next judge is Ogle, Angela Ogle. She doesn't have anyone running
Andrea
against
Ogle.
her, but we want to make sure that we know about her, especially for the November election. Angela?
Andrea Ogle.
Andrea? I'm sorry, Ogle.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the Guy Brewer Club for having me this evening. Thank you to Leslie Spigner and everyone else who was involved in getting this meeting together tonight. I really appreciate you inviting me again here tonight. I will be very brief, and part of the reason for that is because I am actually, although I am countywide, I am running in the November election, so you will not see my name on the primary. So please don't look for it because it won't be there. And just to give you a little bit about myself, my name is Andrea Ogle, and I've practiced for more than 20 years in Queens County as an attorney serving the Queens community. My practice, the areas that I practice in are in the areas of family law, civil law, and criminal law. And more than 80% of the time that I've been practicing in Queens, I've served our most vulnerable population in the family courts, and where I've represented adults and children in all phases of family court proceedings in either the family courts, in the surrogates courts, and also in the Supreme Courts. In addition to doing that, I have also been an arbitrator in the small claims court. I've been
Is
certified.
Webrin in the room?
She's speaking. She's in the middle of talking.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm
As I was
sorry.
saying, I've also been an arbitrator in the small claims court. I've also been certified by the state of New York to be an independent hearing officer for children who have special disabilities. I've also worked with the Office for Children and Family Services as a revocation hearing officer for the youth who have had issues related to their aftercare programs within the community. And for the last 18 years, I've been certified by the Appellate Division, Second Department, to represent indigent adults and children in the family courts, which requires us to have extensive training, and we have to be recertified on an annual basis in order to practice in that particular stead. In addition, I've also done extensive community work with the community in Queens. And part of the reason why I was drawn to that is because my family immigrated from Guyana more than 25 years ago. And when we moved to Queens, it was not as diverse as it is now. And I felt that there were things that were lacking within the community, and it was important for me to connect with the community in order to assist the community to help people to navigate through the issues that they had. And the way that I had done that primarily is with volunteering my time. I've worked with various legislators in the community, planning community events and programs to educate the community, including the elderly. I've worked on issues related to mortgage fraud. I've worked on issues related to cybersecurity and identity theft. When the new raise the age legislation was implemented for youths who were coming before the courts, where they moved the juveniles who were 16 and 17 years old from the criminal courts and they brought them back to the family court, I planned programs to not only educate the community on those issues, but also to educate the attorneys as well. And I worked in conjunction with judges to do that. I've also worked on portions of the legislation for the Family Court Act as well. The most recent program that I've done to educate the legal community was something that I did on Monday. It relates to a study that was done last year by Secretary Jay Johnson, who was the Secretary of Immigration under President Obama's administration. He was actually tasked to do a study of the courts and the systemic bias that was in the courts and issues related to equal justice. And based on that particular program, he prepared a report with recommendations indicating that there was a lack of diversity within the court system as it related to people who were on the bench. There was disparate treatment in the way that the litigants who came into court were treated. There was also a disparate way in the way that people who came before particular courts were also able to have access to justice. So part of what I did on Monday evening was to try to have dialogue with not only the legal community, but also with the judges to address some of those issues. In addition to that, I've also been evaluated by the Independent Judicial Election Qualification Commission, and I was also ranked as highly qualified as a candidate for a judge for the family court, and I was qualified as a judge for the civil court. Excuse me. I believe that becoming a judge as a public servant is one of the most important things that one can undertake, because the decisions that a judge makes involves the real lives and affects the lives of real people. As I said, I see myself as a public servant, and that being a judge, you can also do real good to the community. And that's one of the things that draws me to the position. And I've seen the difference that a good judge can make. And I've learned from my experiences in and out of court, because I'm in court on a daily basis, like my colleagues. And as a public servant, you should not be condescending or dismissive. And I have, over the years, helped my clients to navigate some of the most intricate and difficult processes and problems that they've had to solve. And at that time, I strived to get each of my clients through the challenges that they had when they came to court with dignity and respect. And I think it's important that the judiciary reflects the community that it serves, because Queens is a very, very diverse community. And the experience and the knowledge that I've gained over the years, I believe, has prepared me to be in a position to become a public servant of the community. And I would be asking you to vote for me in the November election. Thank you. And thank you for having me again here tonight.
Thank you so much. Any questions? If not, we have Donovan Richards, who is presently our Queensborough president, and he has the race, and we will now put him on.
Hi everyone. Good to see you. Good to hear you, Leslie. You hear me?
Yes, we do.
All righty, perfect. So I want to first thank the Gaia Brewer Club once again for your support. And, you know, I am feeling relatively good, but we take nothing for granted, of course, when it comes to elections. But I think our work in our first, a little bit over 144 days speaks for itself. Queens leads the state in vaccinations. So we hit our 1 millionth mark on Friday. And part of the reason we have is because of the coalition of folks, the electeds from Southeast Queens, our work with many of the elected officials from around the borough, working to make sure that vaccine equity is prioritized, has been key in us achieving this. So I wanted to start by saying we have some good news, and every day I'm feeling more optimistic. I was with the Lieutenant Governor this morning out in Corona, opening up another vaccine site in a church, and tomorrow I believe we'll start some vaccine rollouts in Rosedale. So we'll be putting some information out on that. We also transformed our community board already, and we've taken some major steps to transform the process. For those who don't know, I oversee about 700 community board members. This year, we modernized the process within our first 100 days, where you were able to apply. For those of you who sit on the community board, apply online. But we also looked at it from an equity lens this year, and 64% of our appointees were people of color. So Black and brown folks, LGBTQ, South Asian, so many of the underrepresented categorical areas that community boards face. Not to say that community board 12 and 13 weren't good, but we had a lot of work to ensure that equity and true representation was happening across all of the boards. So we made some progress on that. We also launched the Queens Small Business Grant in conjunction with the New York Mets, where we secured about $17.5 million. And that money was prioritized for communities that were hit hardest by COVID-19, and the businesses that were prioritized also are the ones who did not naturally have access to federal government PPP loans or grants. Happy to say over 400, close to 600 businesses have tapped in to this grant, which was up to $20,000. So it really was a lifeline for many of our small businesses who may not have made it out of this pandemic. And that money went for rent relief. No strings attached, all grant money. Some other things I'll just briefly touch on the budget. So I'm happy to report that just coming into office that we received the largest allocation from the mayor this year in terms of borough president. So Queensborough Hall, Queens has something to be proud of coming out of this pandemic, being that we were the hardest hit. But we've always talked about the lack of equity and how Queens was not getting its fair share. So we've already started to correct that. And this year, my budget grew to about close to $70 million in capital funding. I'm not going to talk about all of the allocations tonight, but I will tell you the priorities for us are going to be obviously our hospitals, our transportation networks and systems, our cultural institutions are going to see some boost as well. So we could try to get tourism up and running, and of course, education, in which I just finally today put our final touches on. So we're going to see a lot of investments in schools, our libraries and parks, and we'll be making those announcements as we move forward. But I will say that the hospitals, obviously, that are key and priority to me, because healthcare was something we talked a lot about on the campaign trail. Of course, going to be Jamaica Hospital, Queens Hospital. We're looking at, we're also going to do Flushing, Rockaway, St. John's, Adabo Health Center we're looking at. So you're going to see millions of dollars poured into these institutions, which were really overtaking during this pandemic. So I'm very happy to report on that. On the campaign front, I think the work speaks for itself. So we've racked up a lot of endorsements, including the Guy Brewer Club. But today we secured Stonewall Democratic Club, which was a big one, 32 BJ, 1199. Jim Owl's Club, the UFT, CWA 1180, CWA 1, DC 37. And then tonight we also got the New York League of Conservation Voters. So we are taking nothing for granted, but I know that with the help of this club once again, and I want to thank all of those who went out and petitioned during the season for not just me, but the entire club. I want to thank you all for your support, because that's what's going to enable us to once again cross that finish line. So thank you, Leslie, for having me. Can't wait to do this in person. So get vaccinated. We're fighting hard to make sure that vaccine equity is happening, and we need everyone to get vaccinated so that we can get back in the Gaia Brewer Club and have these meetings. And we want to have that barbecue this summer too. So make sure you get vaccinated. So if there are any questions, I'll take them. But that's just a brief synopsis of what we've been up to. And there's a lot of work ahead. So thank you.
This is Renee.
Everything.
You know, we had to pull your sign down because your sign was old. It said primary, March the 24th. And we put Eric Adams' sign up along with the judges and you.
Yeah, I like that sign.
Your name, but are you interested in putting up another sign on the window?
I mean, it's up to you. Yeah, if you have the space, we could do another banner.
Well, the thing is that on the window, you know, we could put your sign up.
But yeah, I got posters. I think
because what happened, your name is on the end of Eric Adams' sign.
Yep.
As long with Weapon and the judges. But we took your big sign down that said primary day, March the 24th.
Right.
So
yeah.
we tried to reach out to you.
I did. I spoke
we wanted
to
to put up
Leslie.
another sign.
Okay, got it. So let me
Yeah,
have
he did
Annie.
speak to me. I spoke to Renee. I spoke to him about that.
Well, I'm talking to him now. I'm reminding him.
All right,
Okay.
got it. All right, so I'll make sure the campaign gets y'all. I thought they dropped some posters today.
No, we have not. I was in the club today. There's nothing.
Oh, I thought that he was dropping some. Okay.
Not. Let's say they came in late.
Okay, got it. Okay. So I'll check with them and make sure that they do that.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
this
you.
is Cecil Long.
Good to
This
see.
is
Good to hear you.
Leslie, can I speak? May I speak?
Yes, of course.
Yes, to the borough president. Couple of things I just want to make comment about. I'd like to know, have you all set any rules and regulations for locations of marijuana dispensaries?
Well, that's the state. That's not me. But they have to form some sort of commission, I think, first before they even start to think about where the placement of dispensaries are going to be and all that other stuff. So that's my understanding with the state legislation right now.
The reason I mentioned because already, I noticed in New Jersey, everyone is saying it's not in my backyard. And they ended up, most of the dispensary is going to be in Paterson, New Jersey. So we know who lives in Paterson, New Jersey. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen to us.
Well, that was the big fight. The big fight was around licensing and ensuring that, the communities hit hardest, which was the 105th precinct for that matter, right? The 105th led the city for a decade in marijuana arrests. I did a lot of work around reforms to the police department on marijuana when I was the chairman of the public safety committee. So we are watching this very closely to ensure that our communities and give credit to our state officials, Alicia, Leroy, Khalil, all of our state officials really did a phenomenal job, because remember, one of the reasons marijuana legalization did not happen last year is because our communities were not getting its fair share. So it died last year. So when they came back to the table, they really had the assembly and the state senate were in a strong negotiating place, because they could have killed it again. So I think to be continued, but I think, there's a lot of eyes on this to get it right.
Okay, I have two more things I just want to question you about. Now, here in Southeast Queens, we don't have a hospital. And I know, I would just like to know your position. Is there any possibility that we can get some kind of a real help facility here right here in Southeast Queens? Because
the challenge is, even if you wanted to build a full-fledged hospital, Southeast Queens doesn't have a whole lot of land sitting around to do it. So you would have to have that. But secondly, I don't want to say no. We are talking to the Health and Hospitals Corporation now, and I've been doing a lot of work around not only investing in our hospitals, so Jamaica Hospital, Queens Hospital. So you're going to hear some announcements on that. But we have been in conversations with the de Blasio administration on expanding health and hospitals. Now, remember, we were supposed to face a $9 billion deficit. By the grace of God, Joe Biden was elected. So you're now seeing money coming down to the states and the city for infrastructure. So you're going to see a big infrastructure package come through Congress, and Congressman Meeks will certainly be at the head of that for us. Out of that, we have to see what that package looks like, but that money that will come down to the city will be slated for healthcare, for your roads, for infrastructure, for NYCHA housing. So we're watching that very closely, but I don't want to lie to you and be like, we got this magic bullet to just build hospitals, because most people are not. We're losing hospitals. So our big fight has been, we need more beds in Queens. And what I'm focused on is on the campuses where we can grow beds, which we are, like Queens Hospital, Elmhurst Hospital, St. John's Hospital. We're looking at the possibilities of ways to expand on their particular campuses, but even if we can't expand, finding creative ways to expand their beds in their specific hospitals. So no easy answer.
Okay, my last thing is, we're really having a sanitation problem here in Southeast Queens, and particularly in my community where I live, over here in Cambridge Heights. I'm over here on Springfield and between Francis Lewis, Springfield, and Linden. And it's just disgusting, the appearance of this community. And it appears to be a sanitation problem.
Well, what I would say is, yeah, you can call my office, but what I will say also is that, so the mayor had cut, because remember, I was talking about that deficit. We were potentially facing that $9 billion deficit last year. Remember that they just passed a stimulus package. So we were anticipating a $9 billion deficit in the city. And because of the hard work of congressional delegation and Chuck Schumer, we were able to see a lot of stimulus dollars come into the city. So the mayor just this week announced refunding, because he had cut sanitation. So now their money, they're putting money back in the budget, and I think he's putting even more money into it. So those conditions should relatively improve over the course. I mean, and if you see something, you could call us now. But remember, last year, before the pandemic, we were starting to see at least 5-day pickups across Southeast Queens, because we had extra money. Remember, the sanitation department only relatively did 3 a week. But now I think we'll get back to 5, and in some places we'll get back to 7-day pickup once the budget is passed. So if you see something, you can call us now. We'll address the immediate condition. But when the budget is passed, I anticipate, I think they're even going to hire up more sanitation workers. So we should be getting prepared for the test. That's what we need to do. So if you got grandsons and kids, or you are looking for a job, they're going to probably open up that process again, and we should be ready for it, because they're going to hire up, I think, hundreds of more sanitation workers. And those are
how I go back to the video.
Good union jobs, good union jobs. So let's get ready for that as well. So thank you.
And I have a question.
I think
No,
Bill Scarborough had his hand raised for quite a minute.
Good evening, Donovan.
Good evening.
Question, there was a period where the 116th precinct was going forward, and a lot of that had to do with the hard work that you and others put in. And then at one point, the funding was proposed to be cut. And
it was cut.
But
it's back. We got it fully funded. The 116th is fully funded.
The 92 million was then going to Roy Wilkins.
It's staying in both. So 92 is staying in Roy Wilkins, and 92 for the precinct. So we got, and actually the precinct is a little bit more than 92. It's about 110. So both. It was I mean, if you only knew, but I can imagine. I will say that, you know, we won big. I mean,
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
not many
because
communities will be able to say they're building a new community
that
center.
original move, it was pretty clear was a hit on you because the mayor
Yes,
was not happy with your public safety stance.
exactly.
But congratulations
He
on
loves me again now, though, so we're
yeah,
good.
yeah. All right,
Congratulations.
keep up the
You
good
have
work.
Congratulations.
you have two questions, or you still got a little time?
I gotta hop off for another 8 o'clock. I got a 8 o'clock interview. So all right. So
Okay.
so if they make it very succinct, I could do it and hop off. All right.
All right. We have Sherry Pugh and Lysandra Middleton.
Right.
Who wants to go first?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Hey, Donovan, how are you?
Hey, good.
That's good to hear. Donovan, a couple of years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, there was conversation in respect to possibly a trauma unit, a trauma hospital out in the Rockaways. Do you recall having that conversation with the community and what was
I
the
don't know
name?
any conversation about it. I mean, I recall the community wanting a trauma center, but the reality is that we work with St. John's on this, and it costs a lot of money to run a trauma unit. They did not have that money, but they did recently, and we'll see what happens. Once again, I talked about that deficit. Now that we're out of that deficit, we are in talks with the State Department of Health, and Khalil Anderson is actually leading the conversation on the trauma center out there as we speak. So St. John's did put an application in for it. I don't know if it's a level 1 no. So we'll see what happens with that. But I am in talks with the mayor, and we may end up with a new health and hospitals facility out in the Rockaway. So we'll see where that goes as the budget passes. But we're in like very deep, serious talks about bringing another hospital out there. It won't be full-fledged, but it will, it'll have wraparound services and focus on certain programming, but we're still in conversation on what that programming will look like.
Great. Cherie?
Yes, hi. Hi, my name is Cherie Williams Pugh, and I am a parent, and I'm on the PTA. My daughter attends PS 176, the Cambria Heights School. I am curious to find out when we're going to have an after-school program. I do understand that there are a lot of children that are hybrid, but when the schools are integrated and they come back to 100%, I have a problem with the fact that the after-school program is well over $400 a month for your child to attend after school. So parents like me, yes, I am a small business owner, but I am the person that, you know what I'm saying, that we're
You're not
parents.
telling me I got a 5-year-old? I know how expensive this stuff is. Tsunoms, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry. I was just saying I have a 5-year-old, so I know, I know how expensive this is.
And then I also have a 1-year-old. So my problem is that, I feel that demographic is greatly underserved. And when I have to find like Mommy and Me programs, I have to go out to like Oceanside and other communities. And then unfortunately, because you're not a resident, we're not allowed to participate in any of the library activities. So, I'm kind of a parent that has a school age as well as an infant. And we don't have any of these programs that can, and every time that I've had a child, since upon buying my house here in Queens, I always had to go out of my district, and then it's costly. So
there's after, so we need to get you a list of where after school programming is offered and for free. And a lot of that, and I'm not saying I can't speak for 176, but there are programs for after school. So for instance, if your school lobbied their local council member for CASA programming, CASA program is Cultural After School Initiative or something, Adventure Initiative. And we're able to put that into 10 schools. So your school should actually reach out to your local council member, who's Idanique Miller, and request a CASA. I can't speak for what he will do because I know CASAs are set in stone at certain schools. I'm not sure what their budget will look like, so I don't want to speak for him. But what I will say is that there are programs like the Cultural After School Adventure Initiative that as council, I came from the city council where I was able to put that into close to 7 schools. And that was free. That's free after school programming. So you wouldn't have to pay for it. I would suggest your principal reach out on that.
Right.
And then for 1 year, and then Go ahead.
Right. If I'm at work, I can't leave my job at 2:00.
You don't have to
get
leave yet. So if they go to 176, they would just stay there for after school programming. That's the purpose of the CASA program. If you're if you have a 1-year-old, and this is a conversation, for instance, I think Eric Adams is talking about, right? How do we make sure we have 3K, free K for infants all the way up? So that's something, but it's very costly, and it's gonna take somebody who wants to do it for age groups that are younger. But my son, went through daycare. He went to Laurelton Academy, and I could empathize and sympathize with you because it wasn't free. You had to pay for it, and people think we got a whole lot of money, but you pay your mortgage. We like everybody else, So on the after school side, I can get you, if you want to take my email down, and you could email me, and I could see what programs are being offered now. But I will tell you, after school program was shut down during COVID, but I anticipate this summer, for instance, the governor has said, summer camps could return. So that means after school programming is coming as well, most likely back in the new school year. So we should be ready for that. So I definitely get what you're saying. And if your school also is looking for subsidy, they should request that. And that's something that I can help. With my own budget to try. I'm not telling you committing today because my budget is going to be, they should contact me now. Actually, because I haven't done my expense yet. And if there are creative ways I can put some money in to reduce the cost for parents, that's something I would be open to doing too. Because I know every school doesn't have after school programming. So, but those are my email is drichards@queensbp.org. drichards@queensbp.org. So just send me an email. I'll have my office dig into what's available now. And what you should there's relatively stuff is just starting to open up again. So you got to give us, I'm not going to lie to you, you got to give us time because COVID, hurt a lot of us. So hurt a lot of us.
We appreciate you for taking your time out.
Of course. Thank you. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you.
All righty. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Borough President.
Thank you. God bless. All righty. Bye.
I just want to mention, we have 2 district leaders in the room, and I don't know whether they want to say anything before Preston speaks. We have District Leader Jackie Boyce in the room. Would you like to say a few words, District Leader Jackie Boyce?
My mic is not connected.
We have District Leader June Bunch in the room. District Leader June Bunch, would you like to say a few words? Is the mic on?
I'm not sure. I've asked to unmute, but maybe not. All right. Thank you. We have 2 different things coming up. Everyone, we have a gentleman coming on. We have another thing on we have a little mock election going on with the ranked choice voting again. We want to make sure everybody is very aware of how this works. But before we get there, I want to introduce a gentleman. Let me make sure he's still on. Dr. Manny St. Victor.
I'm still here.
Oh, good. All right, good. All right. I'm gonna do all introduction for you and everything like that. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna read your bio. With COVID, mental health, mental wellness is very important as we went through this whole year. So it was brought to us by our district leader, Leslie Spigner, to have someone come on. And this is a gentleman I've done some things with in the past year. So I'm going to read his bios. Dr. Manny St. Victor, MD, brain slapping style of research attracts clients from around the world to actively discover how their minds work and how to think their way to success. His background in psychiatry, coupled with hypnotherapy and NLP, which you have to tell me what that is, has equipped him to help his clients heal from the past and continue to grow and thrive so they can create a meaningful and fulfilling life for themselves. A true polymath, he brought much needed science to fuzzy world of self-improvement, and he's equally at ease with everyone from billionaires to Tibetan throat singers. 3 years in psychiatry residency, Dr. Manny St. Vincent quit medicine for the 3rd time to pursue his dreams. This time it was to build virtual worlds with a startup, but underneath it all was an emergent story. He was looking for a deeper, more meaningful way of being and in alignment with his evolving creative passions. Soulful development led to entrepreneurship, which led him to find his purpose, guiding others to awaken their true potential. Founder of Precision Mindset and best-selling author of Think About Quitting Medicine. Dr. Manny has the heart to reach those who are seeking to be unstuck from successful roadblocks and to heal the effects of past traumatic events that at times trigger present realities. His method is through the effective method of hypnotherapy because he believes healing wounds changes the way reality looks and feels. Thank you for joining us. And I know your time is brief, so if you could give us a little tap on, some great techniques to help us with mental wellness and just, any information you can give us, we would definitely
All right,
appreciate
well,
it.
let's get right to it. I guess, first of all, I'm Dr. Manny. I'm honored to be here. Good evening, everyone. I know you guys are at the end of your day and we're close to the weekend. So the first thing I want to do is give you guys a little something to quiet your mind. Is everybody okay with that? If we just take a couple of minutes, it's just a little bit of a guided meditation, but it's just to demonstrate what our minds can do as far as getting quiet. And then from that place of quiet, we'll jump in. So it's like 1 to 2 minutes. Anyone who maybe is driving, I would say don't close your eyes when we say close your eyes. All right. Okay. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and jump on in. It's going to be super quick. Okay. All right. So let's begin. I want everyone who is not driving or operating machinery, go ahead and close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, I want you to notice the sounds in the room in addition to my voice. So first hear my voice and focus on my voice. And then listen to other sounds from your home, maybe sounds from people's mics from far away. And just notice outside what else is out there. Okay. Maybe out there are some thoughts about something that happened today that you need to work through, a conversation you need to have tomorrow. So we're in the past, the present, the future. And our minds get so much quieter when we actually turn in and see what's emerging. And with each breath, just imagine yourself maybe going down some stairs or an elevator. I don't know which one's more effective for you, but take this elevator all the way down or these steps all the way down. 10, 9, 8, 7. Take a deep breath. Breathe out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at the bottom, there's this fantastic relaxation because everything else is up there. So from within this quiet, I want you to go ahead and notice within your mind, and I use the word ties, T-I-E-S. A lot of times we have chatter in our minds, and the chatter keeps us from moving forward because we can't figure out what's noise, what's signal, and what to do with it. So I invite you to listen for 4 things: your thoughts, and your thoughts come up like, I want a pizza. It's cold in here. It's the actual thoughts. It's got words. It tells a story. You feel a certain way about your thoughts. So that's T. I is your impulses. As you're sitting there, some of you are like, kind of want to open my eyes, kind of want to move, kind of want to scratch. Those are your impulses. They come into your conscious experience. So notice that layer, some thoughts bouncing around. And take a deep breath in and let those impulses, just let them float all the way back to that 10th floor up there. So down here, be free of your impulses in this quiet space. The third one is E. E is your emotions. So emotions will come up sometimes and they come up so fast and quick. I'm angry. I don't even know what I'm angry about. I'm sad and I don't even know what I'm sad about. And our brains, just to resolve the uncertainty, will grab the next thought that's in there. An emotion pops up, a random thought is in there, and you're like, I'm mad at that guy. And you believe it. So those are the emotions. And then finally, we have our physical sensations. You may feel the ground underneath your feet. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just let the elevator go down a few more floors till you're at just the right level. And that'll let you notice the sensations in your body. Maybe you notice the breathing. Maybe you notice your chest expanding and going down and how that's so relaxing. Especially when you don't think about the thoughts around the breathing. Am I doing this right? Who knows? Does it matter? Who's in there to check other than this voice that you can let be quiet now? And enjoy the peace. Just enjoy this peace. And if you say to yourself, I can take a little more peace, a little more relaxation, then scan your body and notice anything keeping you from relaxing. If maybe your arm is tight, make it even tighter. And then when you're really ready to relax, let it go. Whatever part was holding something, make it hold a little bit more. And then guess what? When you let it go, the tension that once felt like tension is going to feel like relaxation. And that lets you relax 10 times more. Body is relaxed, mind is relaxed. And so all your energy can go into your spirit now. Let any sound just take you deeper and deeper, and keep focused on the energy of the spirit. And the energy of the spirit is the energy of your relationships, the people that you let in, the stuff that's beyond physical reality. And notice the things that come up, the relationships that you go to, and the relationships that you used to be able to go to that maybe aren't ready for reconnection. And be aware of that. And notice how noticing that causes you to relax. And just notice anything else in there. Remember, thoughts, impulses, emotions, sensations, ties. So we can tie the noise down by noticing, what is the chatter? Oh, it's a thought. Oh, it's an itch. Oh, it's an impulse. And just whenever you're ready to come back up from that, I want you guys to come up, and anyone who wants to share your experience and rejoin me in the present, feeling relaxed, refreshed, but just energized enough to have the rest of the evening feel just right. You know, maybe earlier you were on go-go mode, but we don't need go-go for this space. We need just the right amount of energy for this space, and only you know what that is. So when you're ready to get to that energy, go ahead and open your eyes. And Preston, do you want to choose some people to share experiences from here, and then we can dive into the brain talk?
Anybody want to share experience, you can share it. Unmute your mic.
This is Philippa Carteron. That was a nice break, because I'm running from Zoom to Zoom to Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed that. And I have had a little experience sometime with meditation and breathing. Breathing, we generally don't breathe right when we do that.
Yeah.
And you caused me to remember that when we breathe in, that you're expanding. And then when you breathe out, you're actually bringing it back down. So I thank you very much. It
You're welcome.
slowed me down a little bit.
I'm glad it evoked those memories for you in that experience. Good, good. Anyone else want to share? Okay, well, I'll jump right in if you want to share at some point. And if you have questions along the way, just let me know. During my psychiatry residency, I got to write a lot of prescriptions. I got to see a lot of people who were depressed not be depressed anymore. See suicidal people, less suicidal. People who were hallucinating, who were violent, they were calm. And that's fine, writing these scripts and giving people these meds that, change their lives significantly. But what I found for me and my closest loved ones, especially my high-performing friends who have these successful careers, they were like, hey, man, I might be stressed. I might not be sleeping, but the way I'm holding these things together, the way my consciousness is set up, I'm not putting no serotonin uptake inhibitor. I'm not putting any Haldol in there because I don't know what it will do to the rest. Because some of us are held together by the fear, the pain, the anger. And that's what got us here. We did it for the haters. We did it for the non-believers. We did it for our family suffering at home. Now, unfortunately, we get to this place and the stories we told ourselves along the way are still there. If you did it for your family back home and you had repeated that to yourself along the way, a much younger version of you, how is that impacting you now? If you did it for the haters, what happens now when you're at a stage where, who cares about the haters? We're finally successful, yet we're afraid that if we eliminate these aspects of us, honestly, our demons from the journey, that we'll lose motivation, that we'll lose focus, that we'll lose that edge, when in reality, it's the opposite. When you let those things go, then you head towards wellness. And wellness, honestly, is the more time you spend in that state that we were. That's our natural parasympathetic state. That's where we live, like a quiet. And then some thoughts come up. And then we snatch them and we evaluate this thought. This thought makes me feel like this. It activates this emotion. This thought activates this impulse. This thought actually activates this sensation. This sensation reminds me of a pain from back then that I haven't resolved yet. These things come into our present from our past. And it's not so much remembering them that hurts, it's the way that we remember them. So in psychiatry, and this is no problem with psychiatry because a lot of my clients, I send them to my colleagues for medical management. What I found for me though was that even I've had 3 major depressions, one during which I lost my business, my wife and kids had to go somewhere separate. We lost our house, we lost the cars, everything, just because I just couldn't be present. So during that, my last major depression, I said, you know what? It's not going to be about these pills. I'm going to figure out what's underneath it. And during that time, I came to realize that there are many different paths to well-being that have nothing to do with these pills, or that even with whatever pills or whatever other treatment, you still have to go inside and do the work. And empowering people to do the work through language, through an awareness. You're talking to yourself all day. What are you saying?
Back here, huh?
You know, what are you saying? And then as you're saying these things and you're hearing
What's
them,
your dinner? Y'all ready?
did she ask it? Okay. And as you're saying these things inside, how are you feeling?
Buddy sent you your dinner.
And then when you're feeling something, where's the other, what's that doing to your other thoughts? Are you in these loops where you're thinking, you're having an emotion, you're having a thought about the emotion or feeling about the emotion? And 20 minutes later, you've lost track of time. You've lost track of a meeting. You know? And how much does that affect us? You know, little things like imposter syndrome. Are you sitting around a meeting, negative talking yourself, doubting yourself in a moment when the most important thing is the confidence? You know? Now, so stuff like imposter syndrome, burnout, we're all having these things happen. And honestly, I see them as rebranding of midlife crisis. You know, imposter syndrome is a framing of our accumulation of developmental traumas, the paths that we chose, some of which weren't for us, but for others, the relationships we chose, some of which weren't for us, but for others, the jobs we chose, some of which weren't for us, sometimes not even for others. Sometimes it was for the money. Sometimes it was because for fear of something back home that you knew you never could go back to. But where does that leave us now in the present? When we sit in the present, what are we able to feel without activating fear? You know, when you imagine yourself doing well, does it activate fear? Does it activate guilt? Does it activate shame? Does it activate a sense of betrayal of your family because you've left them behind? Does it activate a sense of survivor's remorse because of all the people who you know who didn't have a chance to be where you are, despite suffering, despite the suffering you're doing in your nice house? You know how they say it's, I'd rather suffer in a mansion. What they don't understand though is when you're in that mansion feels like a prison. When you're in that job, sure, it's the job you always wanted, but every day now there's something within you that's filtering out that joy, that satisfaction. There's this internal dialogue that every time something good starts coming in, the voices will be like, nope. Yeah. And when I say voices, they come in different forms. Sometimes you don't really hear a voice outside, and some people do. A lot of people hear voices outside that nurture them.
Yeah.
People have guardian angels, and that's helpful. A lot of people, after they lose family members, they have healthy hallucinations of family members for the rest of their lives. Now, when you're hearing these voices, when you're experiencing these thoughts that you believe or remember having heard, because you think about it, you're like, oh, I could have sworn I heard myself say something. Okay, in here, you remember hearing something. What was it? Again, what other thoughts does it bring up? What impulses does it activate that you then have to pull back? Does it activate an impulse? And this is the I in ties, TIES. Does it activate so much noise in your mind that you have an impulse to judge yourself? And from that impulse to judge yourself, do you now activate E, an emotion of shame? And now sensation. Are you sitting in the meeting with a sensation your face is all hot now because of the first conversation you had with yourself? Now, is your breathing different? Are you thinking less effective? Did this guy beat you to the jump because of the conversation in your mind? And when you get to the point where the conversation in your mind is rigid or chaotic enough where you can't even talk to yourself and maybe believe yourself. You know, people, when I was in my depression, I couldn't hope because I was like, dude, come on, you can't even get out this bed before 1 o'clock. And when you do, it's to walk outside and try to breathe because I had some claustrophobia and I had agoraphobia. So I'd go outside and be anxious. You know, it was, you know, I was paralyzed. Yet I had to shift to a point where my conversations with myself were still accepting and complimentary. I had to get the voices out of my head that I had been conditioned into using to motivate myself, the haters that I was like, oh, if they could see me now. The same people that motivated me through Harvard, through med school, through building my companies, through ventures, through coaching, through, you know, those same people that throughout your life were against you in your imagination, if you bring them into the present when you're at your weakest, then, you know, they say when you hit bottom, your ego changes. But when I hit bottom, I got dragged across the bottom. You know, I had to realize my habits of people pleasing. I had to realize my internal dialogue. I had to realize the rules and limiting beliefs that I had. And all these things require that we turn inwards and make a decision with curiosity, not with fear. Because fear activates ego. If you go inwards with fear, you're gonna lie to yourself. You're gonna exaggerate. You're gonna ignore certain parts. You're gonna be hypersensitive. You're gonna have a fixed mindset because ego is about what has already happened in the past. So I'll pause for a bit. What questions do y'all have? Did I bore everybody enough yet?
No.
Okay, so I'll start there.
No, this is good. Continue, doctor. This is
okay.
good.
Okay.
I agree.
So
Continue, please.
yeah. So when we talk about brain chemistry, we're talking about your brain's whole purpose is to represent outside reality. Okay. And there's something they say, any model of a system, when it gets effective enough, becomes the system. So inside you, you are this universe. And you walk within this universe you create in your mind based off the stories you tell yourself. And it's not like, don't think of it like some weird magic where it's like, okay, there's nothing out here. But you're not seeing most of what is out here because confirmation bias. You're not seeing the opportunities out here because you're choosing people based on who reminds you of someone you like, maybe, or who looks like they would be worth talking to based off your prior experiences. Yeah. Or the person that doesn't remind you of someone who makes you angry. So now you can't work with them because they do something that was done to you in your childhood. These are all limitations to our forward progress. All these limitations come down to, and my favorite way of thinking about it is the hero's journey. We're on a hero's journey if we're optimistic, if we believe that these trials and tribulations don't define us, they're not who we are. So we don't need to stay in that ego narration. Yeah. When you're on your back, you say to yourself, okay, I'm on my back with my experience. And as such, there's got to be something in there that has helped me get off my back before. Let me try it now. Okay, how is this situation different from the last time I was on my back? You know, sometimes I tell my clients, if you're in the middle of a panic attack, see if you can remember a less bad panic attack. You know, and a lot of times thinking you can't hop from anger to love. You ever try to like have someone flirt with you and you're mad at them? It doesn't work. But you can work yourself down from the anger with the self-talk, with the language. And when your mind and your heart are in alignment, we call it heart rate variability. That's the resilience marker. How long does it take for the language in your head to affect your heart, to affect your breathing? Yeah. Are you saying things that as you're saying them, you're feeling out of integrity? When we feel out of integrity, we fear getting cast out of our tribe because humans have evolved this cheating mechanism. So when we have low self-esteem, when we've been through imposter syndrome and stuff, the story in our heads, we sometimes have trouble believing it because we've accumulated enough defeats, humiliations, shame, embarrassment, choking, moments where we choked when it was the right time, where in that moment we lack the confidence because some of those stories are coming up. These guys probably Googled me and saw about, such and such that happened, that press release, that was embarrassing. These guys probably, that guy over there knows a guy who knew me from college. I wonder if he told them about that sophomore year, how I had to repeat this class. It doesn't matter. It's irrational because chances are no one is that concerned with you. Yet in that moment, your concern with people's concern with you and the way it activates your ego with the fear results in you having a distorted version of yourself. You're not your authentic self, you're your shadow projected self. And your shadow projected self can never feel the appreciation that your authentic self desires to feel, because your projected self is about what you're doing out in the world. It's about your actions. It's about your possessions. It's not about your sense of being. And as such, you'll be in the ego state of go, 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 or in the state of accumulate, accumulate so people can see what I've accumulated. And then the third basket, the being basket, when we sit to be still enough to ask ourselves, who am I now? When not what lawyer, what doctor, what school, who am I here now? When I'm talking to myself, who am I talking to? Am I talking to someone who is out of integrity? And as such, I let my guilt kick me about things in the past, kick me into worry about the future? Am I someone who believes my best times are behind me? So when I tell my story, I'm all in the nostalgia. And then when people asking me about the present, what I'm up to now, I don't have much to talk about. And I tell them how hard life is. And I don't anticipate any opportunities later. So I don't tell them about the things I'm working on, because I've lost the belief that what I believe I can bring through the sheer force of will into being. Because I can't even control my mind with these stories yet. So I'll pause again, because I get into these conversations in my head. And I want to make sure I'm not wandering too far off of what you guys want to talk about. So anyone, anything?
The anxiety with COVID,
Yeah.
moving around,
Yeah.
and especially now that they're saying take off the mask.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I wasn't allowed to go out the house. And when I did start walking around, I got such high anxiety.
Yeah.
And my brain was overworking and I can't bring it down.
Yeah.
Which prevents me from sleeping. How do I bring the brain down so I can rest and not think about the next day of trying to go outside, thinking about the COVID?
Yep. Okay. So the first step is going to be to bookend your day. You want to have a morning routine where you choose what you want to think about instead of COVID. Okay. Now, I recommend my clients use something called a compass: mind, body, being, and business. So for mind, a lot of breathing, a lot of doing what quiets your mind. Okay. Now, usually 5 minutes of daily breathing allows you to remember what calm feels like. Because remember, I said earlier, when I was depressed, I couldn't remember what hope felt like. I couldn't remember.
Right.
I couldn't remember love. I couldn't remember connection. So even when I saw my kids, who I had been away from for a while, the whole time I was there with them, the main feeling was this cortisol guilt. Yeah. So you want to ask yourself, if in the morning I set a set of goals, as I'm setting the goals, as I'm saying my affirmations in the morning to empower those goals, do I believe my affirmations? Okay. Now, if you have the kind of relationship with yourself where you actually believe your affirmations, then that's when you introduce the affirmations of I am calm, I am poised, I am breathing deeply. Or if you have an anxiety attack, you evaluate it. One of the tools that I have my clients do is, and all of you can do this if you want to imagine real quick, when you're feeling a negative emotion, an uncomfortable emotion, you close your eyes and you imagine a knob in front of you. Now, when you see the knob, you can either move your hand in the real world or outside. You see that the knob is on the number that represents how high your anxiety is. Okay. And so you'll develop an anxiety map. And the second you start putting numbers to it, the anxiety fades. I don't know why it works. It just does. When you give your brain something to do, suddenly it's like, oh, I might as well do this. That'll help it. That's why a lot of people do stuff like hoarding or obsessive compulsive. What I'm inviting you to do is in the morning, choose 4 things in your value system. Think about, who do you want to think about today? And make some people your priority. And when anxiety is coming up, think about the last thing that you did for those people that they're grateful for. Now, what that does is gratitude brings you into the realm of serotonin in your body, which is like a lot of Zoloft. Is Prozac a serotonin uptake inhibitor? I think so too. But so the gratitude does that. Now, when you're setting some goals in the morning, every day you'll notice that there's a relationship you're building with yourself where you set the goals, and then at the end of the day, you'll find that you have a certain amount of anxiety about how you handled your day. Okay, when you're evaluating yourself. Now, list off the things that made the day stressful, starting with the COVID, but why? And you got to put this outside. And honestly, be honest with yourself. I'm afraid of dying from this thing. Write it out and look at it. And now your whole body knows, I'm afraid of catching this thing. Boom. And what's the other thing? People at work look like while they were at home, they lost their manners. People acting funny now. I think I lost my manners while I was gone. I don't know if I'm acting the way I used to at the office, And here's the thing, we're talking about habit systems. So in order to see what's happening, don't guess, because habits are invisible to your guesses. You don't see your habits. You just be like, oh, I don't know. I did what I did today. I don't remember. So create this habit of observation of how gratitude, even repeated gratitude over and over, creates this oxytocin and serotonin blend. Because when you're grateful, when you think about the people grateful to you, you think and you pull their face up, the oxytocin makes you feel a sense of belonging to a tribe. Okay. Now, a lot of us lost our connectedness to our old tribal rhythm, whether it was your work tribe, your bus riding tribe. Nowadays, we see some people and automatically suspicion kicks in. So we don't get the old the oxytocin bath. It used to be, I see some people, I might hug some, I might high five, I might tell a joke, I might look to see whose face is pretty. All this stuff we used to do to pass the time is different now. People's mouths are covered. I don't know if they mean or not, because honestly, attraction has a lot to do with affability. You'll see somebody like, that face beautiful, that so mean though, and now this is covered up. So we have less cues. We get, and another thing is, when our faces are uncovered, when we see smiles, we imagine smiles. And when we imagine smiles, our own mouths move. And when our mouths move, we assume that we're happy. We assume we're safe. We assume the person who's making eye contact loves us, and our status goes up. It quiets the ego. When we quiet the ego, we quiet the noise. The ego is the one with the stories. What if someone at work notices that my outfit's not right? What if I'm running late because I'm out of the habit, my old routine? What if I mess around and say something out of decor? What if I forget I'm not in a Zoom meeting? So you want to ask yourself, what are the things you're really anxious about, and write them down for yourself. And then look at them and say to yourself, okay, what are the chances of these things really happening? Okay. And then what are the steps that I can take to protect myself from these things? Okay, with this COVID thing, y'all can take y'all mask off if y'all want to. Some people, I don't know if at work, if at work they're asking you to take your mask off, then ask them for that 6 foot. Ask yourself the things that you're most preoccupied with. What can I do? Serenity prayer style. What can I do to change that context a little bit? If you tell them, put a air filter in there, and they do it, your brain will be like, I impacted the situation. I'm less anxious. It's the helplessness that makes us anxious. It's the feeling of being disconnected from the reality, and the reality moving without us doing anything to it, and therefore outside of our control, that external locus of control. So pick some little things to do and do them, and notice yourself doing them, and reward yourself. And, oh, look what I did. I calmed myself down a little bit. I didn't flip all the way out. For me, for a long time, it was, I went from getting up at 2 p.m. to getting up at 11. I used to get up 5, 6 to round units, but during my depression, finally I was like, I got up at 11. Okay, I know that when I wake up at 2, I plummet into a depression because I beat myself up for not having gotten up all day. So how do I inspire myself to get up at 11? Okay, when I get up at 1:30, I celebrated that. Didn't beat myself up. On days when I slipped and slept till 3, I didn't beat myself up. But each time I noticed how these things made me feel, and what story I was telling myself, what conversation I was having with myself. And I adjusted the conversations to be soothing, to be nurturing, to let me know that there's no point at which I will stop accepting myself enough to abandon myself.
Wow. Thank you, Doctor.
Any other questions? And I promise you, this stuff, when you go inside, everything is in there. It's in there.
Do you have a website?
PrecisionMindsetCoaching.com.
Let me put that in the chat. 1 second.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was very helpful.
Hold up. Precision Mindset. What was the last word?
Coaching.com.
Coaching.
Yeah, PRECISIONMINDSET coaching, COACHING.com. Yeah.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Thank you. That was powerful.
Very powerful.
Thank you. I also have a 7-day, if you guys want, this is a product I'm not developing anymore, but a lot of people find value in it. It's called asylumawaits.com. It's a 7-day free course. It's a breathing course, actually. And with some music that I composed during my depression, ironically, because a large part of how I came out of my depression was with GarageBand. I'm very much an empirical thinker. So a large part of my depression, I was stuck because everything I did, I would judge. Even when I put out books and they like became bestsellers, I still beat myself up because they didn't make enough money or they didn't get made mandatory at schools or just something. But when it came down to the music, I started creating the music and I had to tell myself at one point, oh, I like how this sounds. It feels good. My pain is in there. So I created this breathing course with some ideas to think about while enjoying the music. And that's at asylumawaits.com. And that's breathe into inspiration. So if you guys want to check that out also, that's just, the main point is sit down somewhere for a little bit. Okay. Yes. And hear what's in there.
Man,
and hear what's in there. Don't judge it.
We appreciate your time and for your patience waiting to get on.
My pleasure.
You know, and it's always good to see someone of your esteem join us, come down here and work with. Hopefully we do something in the future because mental wellness, mental health is a big issue, especially in minority communities. And I think that, you know, we can't be afraid of the subject, the topic no more. So I thank our district leader for actually coming with the idea. And I thank you for taking it up on such short notice. So I appreciate you, man. And, you know, we'll be doing some more things together. We've done a couple of things and I think we could do more to, you know, that's a big issue, you know, so.
Whenever you need me, if I'm available, I'm there.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I just want to bring 2 more people on because our ranked choice voting people left the room. But I want to have Preston say a few words about Weprin. He is not feeling well today, so he asked Preston to speak on his behalf. Preston is helping him with his campaign. And then after that, I would like to have Bill Scarborough mention his May 15 mayor meeting. If that's okay with you, Bill. Preston?
Yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm.
Preston, you want to speak a little bit about Weprin's campaign?
Well, I mean, he's going to probably be on our next meeting. Just giving you an update. You know, he's running for city comptroller. There's quite a few people in the race. I believe he's endorsed by all the clubs of Southeast Queens and many clubs throughout the city. So, you know, he's ranked at, and right now he's polling at number 3. So it's Corey Johnson and Brad Lander polling a little bit ahead of him. So, you know, he's been a friend of the club. He's been a friend of ours for quite some time. We think that it's a good chance to get someone from Queens into a city wide position. So that would be a great thing. And he is reaching out for people to volunteer. They're doing virtual volunteer as well. They do it through a site, I believe, but I can get you guys the information if you want. And I'm definitely working very closely with him to help him, you know, be successful. We're working on that, you know. So, and Cassandra Johnson, I don't know if she's still here. All right. And going on to Mrs. Scarborough. Oh yes, Cassandra Johnson. We gotta make sure she wins this race. And then Mrs. Scarborough.
Okay, thank you, Preston, and thank you, Madam Leader. As our leader said, we're involved. When I say we, there's a coalition of 21 organizations that came together. There are civic organizations, church organizations, fraternities, sororities, and formed a coalition called the Southeast Queens Leadership Coalition to host a mayoral debate on May the 15th on Zoom. And I know there have been a number of debates. I know our club had a very good forum with the mayoral candidates, but we feel that this election is so critical so critical to our community and to the city, that the more opportunities that we have to hear from the candidates, and especially to hear what they plan to do in Southeast Queens, the better we are as a community. So this debate will be on Zoom on Saturday, May 15th, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Unfortunately, right here, I don't have the ability to put the link on. I don't know whether Leslie or Preston are able to put up the link to the debate.
Okay, you can send. You should be able to write in the chat box. It'll write to everyone. But if not, you can tell me it out. I'll type it in.
You want me to expose my lack of technological skills?
No, man.
But all right, we will get that in the chat.
What is it called? What's the link?
Southeast Queens Leadership Coalition mayoral debate. I'm going to try to send the link over in the chat. All right.
Okay. Oh, I did you give me the website? Sorry, I was.
So it's being moderated by New York One anchor Cheryl Wills. And we expect it to be a lively debate. There's going to be part of an opportunity for candidates to question each other. And it's going to be focused on issues unique to Southeast Queens and what we expect from the next mayor and what they should know about the issues that the residents of Southeast Queens face. So we're inviting everybody to join us in this Zoom debate on Saturday, May 15th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Okay, we'll get you the information and I hope everybody will come out and join us. Thank you.
I'm adding it right now.
I am finished. Thank you all for attending. I turn the meeting back over to our Madam President, Renee Bluford.
Is that the right link?
Yeah, that's the link to go on Facebook. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks, President.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Madam President, Renee Bluford. Executive Leader, Manny Kaufman. Can I hear?
Good evening, everyone. Very nice meeting. Thanks for joining the Guy Brewer Democratic Club. And I want to congratulate all our candidates for judge and their contribution to the Queens community. Each and every one of them are highly qualified. And you can be assured that the Guy Brewer Democratic Club will work diligently to support them and get them elected. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that we will be out there helping our candidates, our judges. Their information should be out shortly from what I understand. They'll have palm cards and posters. So we hope that you will work closely with them as well as Donovan and Webrin. We thank you so much. Any questions? If not, we'll say goodnight. I don't know what happened to our president, but we'll say goodnight and we'll see you in our next Zoom. We will have a Zoom shortly with Eric Adams, who will be having a Zoom on his own to ask people for support. So we thank you so much. Have a blessed evening. Any questions before we depart? God bless.
Good night.
Good night. Be well, be safe.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Be safe.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Great meeting.
Great meeting.